everyone, and welcome to day 4 of the launch week for Look Into My Eyes, Intersectionality of Identity. I can't believe that tomorrow is launch day. We're on the eve of it. So throughout the week, I've shared a couple different pieces. I started off the week with talking about why the title mattered and how that was started and formed. And then I went into describing a little bit more information that was in the book. And yesterday I shared a story of just how proud I am to be in the family that I am and how much I appreciate everything that my family has done for me over the years. And today I want to talk a little bit about something that's more difficult to talk about. And it's a personal story that I share a little bit about in the book, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper into it. So, the way the book is structured, section 3 of the book talks about the 15 different identity groups. There are many more than 15, but we've identified 15. And I go into each of those 15 in some pretty strong detail. I share my personal story of that specific identity, as well as stories I've seen or stories that people have trusted me and shared with me. And the one I want to talk about today is sizeism. And sizeism is discrimination, prejudice, or stereotyping based on someone's size, which is inclusive of their height and their weight. Um, I've always been a fairly tall person, especially for someone who identifies as a woman. At the same time, I'm not excessively tall. So I haven't really dealt a lot with sizeism when it comes to height. However, on the other side with weight, I've definitely struggled with that. For the first 20 years of my life, I was extremely overweight. I was in a body that society told me was wrong, right? I was bullied by other kids. I was glared at by adults. I was constantly given advice on what I should eat or not eat, or how much exercise I should get or not get. Um, I was called horrible names from kids. Some of those names I can say now just because I realize that they don't define me. But at the time when I was younger, I never wanted to hear them, let alone repeat them myself. But I was called names like Megan Food and Deli because of my last name, Fuciarelli. Now I have to say, whoever came up with that was kind of clever because it rhymes, right? I was called Mega Megan because, mega means larger than life. Um, and through all of that, I internalized that belief that I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't good enough, I was never going to amount to anything other than the fat girl. Um, I even kind of, when I look back, I realized that I was almost like the fat girl in the group. Um, and I'm sure all of us kind of see that, whether it's through Mean Girls or through other movies depicted where there's different personalities of people. And I remember how cruel kids were. And I remember having a lot of people that I called my friends, but they never called me their friend. What I mean by that is I was always a pretty giving person, but I realized that I was giving to try and earn someone's like I wanted them to like me. I was trying to earn people's friendship or people's niceness. Around the holidays, I would get holiday cards and put a little mini candy cane on everyone's card. And literally, I remember one year I gave out 400 of these. Now, many of the people there that I gave them to, I didn't even really know that well, but I literally gave one in high school to every single student, every other kid, every other child student that was in my class. And I remember everyone was like, well, where's mine? Can I have two? And then on the same day or the very next day, they would act like they didn't know me, right? And it was one of those secret friendships where people would say, oh, Megan, I got you. You're my friend. But then when we were in the hallways at school, I was ignored by many, not by all. I had a solid group of people who were always very kind. But I don't know that they were necessarily friends, the larger majority. And a lot of that, I believe, was based on my size, because of the names that I was called, because of the looks I would get, because of the glares I would get. And I remember going off to college, and I didn't gain the freshman 15. I gained like the freshman 200. And I remember after college, I looked myself in the mirror, and I had just gone through a lot of medical things as well. And the doctors told me that if I did not lose weight, a couple things would happen. First, I would not make it past the age of 40. Two, or second, I would not be able to have children. And that second one was really hard for me to internalize because I knew that I was meant to be a mom from the moment I was born. As soon as I got out of the womb, my mom said that I was always caring for other people. I had a very strong maternal instinct, and I knew I wanted to be a mom. So I said, okay, well, what am I going to do to be able to lose this weight? I had tried for years to lose weight. Um, I had gone on all of the different diets. I went to all the different meal plans, Weight Watchers, medical weight loss clinic. There were lots of different establishments that tried to help people lose weight. And I did all of them. And it was the constant up and down. I would go down 10 and then gain 20. So after college, I made the decision to go ahead and go through gastric bypass surgery. And the gastric bypass surgery that I had is no longer approved in by the medical association. So it's no longer approved because it was so dangerous. It was so drastic. They removed a large portion of my stomach. They rerouted a large portion of my intestine. They really kind of rerouted my entire system. But what stands out to me the most about that, and I tell this story in the book, is the night before surgery. I had the surgery outside of my area. It was probably about an hour and a half from where my parents lived. And I remember my mom and my dad had come down to kind of be in the area, be in a hospital. So they had a hotel room near the hospital. And I had to be admitted to the hospital a couple days beforehand because they want to make sure you don't eat beforehand because they need your entire insides cleaned out because they were going to destroy your insides. They were going to cut it up. So I remember the night before surgery, my mom had come in earlier that day and she had brought herself a sandwich. It was a Jimmy John's sandwich, and she had brought that for herself. And I remember that she's like, I don't want to eat in front of you. And I was like, it's okay. And she kind of ate off to the side and didn't eat right in front of me, but I knew she had eaten. I could smell it. And I was like, oh, I think it was a tuna. I know. I shouldn't say I think. I know. It was a tuna fish sandwich from Jimmy John's. It wasn't even something I really enjoyed that much, but I could smell it. And the thing is no matter how many times you hear people say they're big because of body chemistry or body type or whatever it is, I remember saying all the things like I'm big boned. Well, if you've seen me in person, you know I'm really not that big boned, but that was the things I would tell myself. I was always addicted to food. I got large because I loved food. And in my culture, I grew up in a Polish, Italian, like food was used as celebration, food was used as condolences. If you were sad, eat something. If you were happy, let's celebrate with food. If you were anxious, you ate something. Every emotion was tied to food. And I just internalized that. I ate all the time. But going back to the night before surgery, my mom had eaten her sandwich and I could still smell it. She had left probably around dinner time. She had left and I was alone in the hospital room. And I remember still smelling the sandwich. And I had gotten up to go to the bathroom and I saw my mom's sandwich in the garbage. And if you're following what I'm saying right now, you're probably like, no, Megan, you didn't. I did. I took my mom's sandwich out of the garbage and I ate the rest of it. There were maybe 3 bites there. But I remember eating it. And as I'm eating it, there was such shame over me of, gosh, I'm here to lose weight and I can't even stop eating for 2 days. Gosh, society, if they knew I was doing this, they would look at me with such disgust. I had all of these thoughts running through my head. And the thought that wasn't going through my head was, you're doing this so you can have a child. You're doing this so you can live a longer life. You're doing this so you can be healthier. The thoughts that were running through my head at that time were all negative of, oh, I'm so disgusting. I'm a horrible person. I did this to myself. All of those things. Well, on June 24th, my mom's birthday, she'll never let me forget it because she was so upset that if anything would have happened to me on the day of surgery, it was her birthday. But on June 24th, I went under the knife and I had my surgery. And I remember waking up after surgery and feeling so much pain. And my story of losing weight didn't end there. Now, many times people will say, oh, they went through the surgery, they lost the weight, they gained back some of the weight. I actually did the opposite. I lost all of that weight and I kept it off. But it wasn't an easy road. And one of the things I hear a lot when I tell people that I had the gastric bypass surgery is, oh, you couldn't do it the natural way. Oh, you had to go under the knife. Oh, you did it the easy way. It was not easy. So after the surgery, I actually had a leak from an internal suture. When they did the surgery, there was a small leak, and that happens fairly regularly with surgeries, especially when they cut you open. One of those sutures had failed, and my body went into shock. I remember I was about a week out of surgery. I was back home, and I called my dad because I wasn't living at home at the time, but I called my dad and I said, Dad, I'm in so much pain. And my dad had had the surgery before, so he kind of said, well, Megan, it's painful. Like you just had your whole insides reworked. It's going to be painful. Just deal with it. I said, no, Dad, this is different. I think we need to go in. And I remember he was frustrated at first because he was like, come on, Megan, it's just deal with it. It's pain. You're fine. He drove me to the hospital. And when we arrived, they put me into surgery immediately. And during the surgery to fix the leak, I coded. I was pronounced dead. Obviously, I'm still here. But after the surgery, I had to have a port placed so that I could hook myself up to an IV every night for 6 months because I was so malnourished. The doctor said that if we would have waited just 10 more minutes, I would not be there anymore. 10 more minutes. All because I believe the messages that society told me that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't enough. What I know now, almost 30 years later, what I know now is that I did the surgery so that I could live a longer, healthier life. I did the surgery so I could have the possibility of having a child, and I share more about that, but I do. I have an amazing 15-year-old son. He's actually the I that's on the front of the book. But all of that to say that even after I lost the weight, about 18 months later, I got to my goal weight, but I didn't stop there. I kept losing weight. I went from being morbidly obese to less than 2 years later being clinically underweight. The judgment didn't stop. I was still not pretty enough, not good enough. And what was really interesting is I went from being almost demonized for being big to when I was smaller, being almost like um, thought of as someone who is better, right? Like, oh, you can eat anything you want and not gain a pound. I'm so jealous. Oh, you're so lucky. Oh, you have such a great figure. And I'm like, do you know how hard I had to work for everything and how difficult this was? But as I think back to everything, as I look at everything, I realize that society has a way of talking to us that impacts every part of our being. And part of the reason for writing this book is to share some of that, to humanize it, to allow people to realize that they're not alone in the struggles, and to help people realize how they might be perpetuating some of the struggles that they hear in society. Now, today I've had a child, I have had multiple procedures to be able to feel comfortable in my body again. And I will say that I still look in the mirror sometimes and see a fat girl. I still look in the mirror sometimes and ask myself why I'm not blank enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not built enough. I'm not strong enough. All of those things. And I know that a lot of those questions don't come from my inner psyche. They come from society telling me how to believe about myself. I still struggle with body dysmorphia. I see something very different than what I see out in, like if I see a picture of myself, I'm like, oh, how is that a picture of me? There's no way I look like that, right? I know that there's a lot of people who struggle with things like that. And I know that there are a lot of people who want to make sure that everyone around them sees themselves not just as enough, but as amazing human beings. And my reason for sharing this story today is to really just invite everyone in to realize that this book is an opportunity for you to reflect on some of those things that happened in your earlier years. How did the way you were treated, the way you were talked to, the friends you had, the groups you were surrounded by, how did that impact who you are today? And how has society sent us messages about what we're worth? And how can we internalize those that are good and reject those that are not good so that we can truly be everything we are meant to be in this world? Because what I've learned is this: our bodies are not problems to be solved, they're stories to be honored. Now, from the surgery, I have quite a few scars on my body, and I used to hide them. Now, I look at every single one because I know that it tells a story of who I was and who I am today and who I will be in the future. And I want everyone to know that they are enough. I want everyone to know that your stories do not define who you are, they just impact how you see the world. So as we finish up launch week, tomorrow is launch. We're going to put the link to be able to pre-order in the chat. We're also going to make sure that we post it on all of our social media channels. Our final live with our actual launch is tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. And during that launch, I'm going to talk about why we release on March 13th. Why my first book, Metamorphosis from Savior to Changemaker, was released on March 13th, why this book, Look Into My Eyes, Intersectionality of Identity, is being released on March 13th, and why every book moving forward will be released on March 13th. We're going to talk about the significance of 313. I also have some really exciting news that I'm going to share tomorrow as well. So please make sure you join us 10 a.m. Friday, March 13th. Even though it's Friday the 13th, March 13th and 313 mean more. So join me tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you so much. And remember that you are enough and you are exactly as you are needing to be in this moment. Thank you so much.